What is going on, folks, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Unknown Factions, and thank you for joining me for some more Valheim. And today is a glorious day as it is episode 1 of the Ravenheim server, the YouTube creator server featuring Kaizen, Christy, Versal, Magzag, Lala, Jirok, Smitty Survival, and myself. And of course there's no picture of Smitty as I could not get a copy. But here we go anyways. But of course, making a new character, you don't get to see the creation part because I had to load him in already for a little test run, make sure everything was connecting properly. But after the roll of the opening credits and being dropped off by Munin, Hugin's, of course, brother, cohort, whatever you want to call him, it's just a normal start. You know, you're going to want to run around, gather some sticks, get some berries, wait for some other people to arrive because I was the first one to pop in. At this particular time, which everybody's not here. We're missing Jirok and Kaizen and Mags in this playthrough, or this episode, I mean. But of course, after just running around, I did meet up with Versal, who led me to the starter location, which Kaizen had picked out earlier on. I guess he took a peek at the seed. We're going to keep out of the Mistlands, that way this server can carry on into the update, so we're just trying to stay away, so we went ahead and just took a peek to make sure we don't explore into it. But as you can see, me and Versal making our way over to this nice open area that's been picked out for us by the water. And it just so happened to be a borestone here. And would you know it, since there's so many players on this server, the difficulty is scaled up. And we have some beautiful 2-star boars waiting for us at our arrival. Which is great, and so we can have some infinite bacon rolling in off of day 1. Which of course in the next episode is when I go ahead and make the breeder. But as it is now, we just need to go ahead and pin these bad boys in. Looks like the next one to join us, but we're just going to drag these little fat SOBs into here. And the suckers pin me in the corner. They dang near take my life. The 2-star board does not play no jokes, especially on day 1. But as you can see, barely escaping with my life, we now have trapped 2 boars off the rip. I mean, literally within a few minutes of spawn. So just camping out and waiting the 30 minutes, the full day it takes for them to become tamed, as long as they don't get spooked. But as you can see, Versal has brought back Smitty and Christy, which she's in the woods right there. And so it drug out a little longer. Be careful, those 2 stars will tear down that pin very easily. But come morning, it's time to find my place to call home. So I picked out this nice little bay right here on the outside of town. Kaizen's just over the hill. Smitty moves in next door, here in about 10 minutes, and he starts building a beautiful little house. But I'm going to go with a little fish shack right here on the coast. We're going to get everything nice and leveled. Got our workbench station down. That way we can repair everything. And of course lacking a pickaxe here, so we're just going to do the best we can and get a little starter foundation in. Nothing too crazy at the beginning, I did go even simpler at first, just a box, with a porch and an awning, and that was it. But of course, Smitty, being the show off that he is, had to pull in and make me look bad, so I had to step it up just a little bit. So as you can see, we just start off with a nice little fish shack, like so, and I do add a little dock to the back, sticking off. There's a little island right over there, which we can turn into a deer farm, I'm hoping. You can't see it's directly behind the house, and it already automatically spawns deers and boars all the time on there. So, I might just have to raise the land up a little bit. But of course, after getting the roof on there, we're going to slap a bed and a fire down in here. That way we can get a little bit of rested bonus, and if we die, we don't have to run all the way back. Boom, and of course, don't forget to vent your smoke. You don't want to be hotboxing with Snoop Dogg anytime soon, because it could be bad for your health. Getting some cooking stands down so we can get some meat. And as you can see, that's the only mob that's active right now, is the sleeping mob that you only need one person to hit a bed and the whole server will go to sleep. Because if you haven't played on a multiplayer server, that is kind of a pain. But come morning time, me and Christy make our way into the Black Forest. I kind of stumbled upon her, and we ran into this beautiful troll right here, which my ballsy but stupid confident bud decided to take him and go mining with him. Now this did cost me dearly, but it ran good for a long time. I was able to get right at 20 copper and like 12 to 13 tin, I forget exactly how many. So it was worth dying to be able to get copper before we have a pickaxe, before we built Eikthyr. I mean, day one troll mining, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie, But as you can see, a little too slow with the Grey Dwarves around, pegging me with stones. But still, as I never quit, I came back for a little more, and I used him for, quite a long time this time, probably about 20 minutes. I toted him around, and he did his job, but in the end, it came out with the same outcome. With the lack of food, so low health, low stamina, you couldn't even take one hit from him. So it was a ballsy move from the beginning. But after taking a quick smoke break, I arrived to find the treacherous Christie trying to de-home your boy. Can you believe it? Put me outside of my own house. But in the end, she was caught red-handed because I was actually sitting there as she was putting the board back up. She thinks she's slick, but she's not that slick. Look at those broad shoulders, dear Lord. That is one muscular woman. Must be a bodybuilder. But after catching her red-handed, we decided to venture back into the Black Forest before Eikthyr again and go ahead and try to get some cores, because I did stumble upon this small burial chamber right here, which, again, another ballsy move. No stats, no skills, going right in. But, of course, as I am a seasoned veteran, I have no fear of the creatures of Valheim. They are no match for this Viking. So, of course, working in a counterclockwise way, always, just start on the right, work your way all the way around, or left or right, either way, So, as you can see, these skeletons right here, no match for fire, because bones burn, son. Just come in here and cremate a few of these skeletons real fast, in hopes of finding a few Surtling cores. That way we can go ahead and smelt down this copper and tin that I had already stolen off of day one. So, of course, just kind of rushing things, to get caught up. The beginning start of this game is always, pardon my French, is pretty shitty, being scared of Grey Dwarfs and the skeletons, want to get past this stage as fast as possible. And as you can see, we were successful, as it had a large room completely packed with Surtling cores, enough to make one kiln, and be able to break it down and turn it into a smelter as well, and plenty of bones for us to be able to make a few upgrades, that way going into Eikthyr, while I'll have decent armor, and a decent shield to be able to block, because starting off he's a lot more difficult, day one than he is when you come back later in the game just trying to get some trophies. You forget that. I don't know how many times you guys have played through, but I'd only played through once until recently. Started over on my community server, and now I started over on this server, and it's like, Jesus, I'm gonna do 2 playthroughs over at the same time, like within a month. But as you can see, coming back to what I'm doing, I just go ahead and gather a little more materials. That way I can add on to my house and make it a little more aesthetically pleasing, as I wasn't satisfied with the fish shack. So we're just going to come off the backside and add a rectangle to the back of our square, and then we're going to roof it in the opposite direction that we have this roof. As you can see, blending in nicely, not using the ridge boards. We're just kind of putting the 45s together, and I'll come back and put a solid wood beam on top and make that the ridge itself. Boom. Looking good. And then, of course, I think I'm going to do some diamonds with the inlaid X's in the corners, and they kind of make good for vents too, because you don't have to ventilate smoke if you have an open ceiling. It will find its way up there and out, so that's a handy tip to have. If you're not trying to vent smoke all through your place, if you have a fire in the middle of your house like I do, you can just leave it open like that and it'll work its way out. But as you can see, adding a little half board on there, the 1 meter, we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a little overhang on this side, and I'll leave it flat on the other side, giving us a kind of a counter, making it a little different. I don't want everything so the same. And of course, adding the inlaid window, the 3-pane. You know me, I just cannot help myself. I love the way these windows look on the outside. It's so handy for definition. You'll hear me say it 1,000 times. Yeah, and then of course adding a few 45s on the outside, giving it a little curvature to it, making it look nice. And then once again, I just can't help myself, but this place needs some furniture, son. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some quick furniture that you don't need any nails for. And obviously, as you can see, I'm just kind of migrating everything over to the side. That way I can have some room to work over here. I'm gonna make this the entryway, kind of walkway. The put some shelves, a couple cabinets. That way I can just throw some items up here and we can go ahead and max our comfort out as soon as possible in the starter home. Because the item stands aren't just for looks, folks. If you don't know, it does help with comfort. The only way to get to 20 comfort, of course. But after finishing my makeshift furniture, I shall call this episode complete. Now I just did a little cabinet under the window right there, and then of course admiring my work as I have upgraded this starter home into the ultimate little fish cabin right here, which maybe get some in-game use out of, make a little fish trap out here in this little bay. So, of course have the deer farm right there. So this might end up being an in-game structure as well, as it is in prime location, as they say, location, location, location. But I hope you fellas enjoyed this episode 1. Don't forget to swing by for episode 2 when we take Smitty through Eikthyr and get this ball rolling. But I appreciate you folks stopping by, and I shall catch you in the next one.